everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mike Martin Show on AM 790 WPRB and Facebook Live. I'm your host, Scott Credisci. Glad you could join us. The Mike Martin Show brought to you each week in part by United Healthcare. You put care into everything that you do. United Healthcare does too. United Healthcare, health plans that care for you and your family every step of the way. See what care can do at UHC.com. Well, coming up on the Mike Martin Show tonight, we'll be joined by freshman forward Prince Moses. He'll be joining us in our player segment in segment 2 of the show. And then in our alumni spotlight in segment 3, we'll be joined by Brandon Anderson from the class of 20 and Cedric Kwakamensa, two-time Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year from the class of 16. But first things first, let's welcome from the class of 71, a former Brown basketball great himself, Russ Tyler. Russ, how are you?
Scott, I'm great. And you and Mike have lined up Brandon, Cedric, Prince Moses, who I haven't met. So I'm looking forward to talking to all three of those gentlemen, believe me.
As am I. And let's say hello to the head coach of the Bears from the class of 2004, Mike Martin. Coach Martin, how are you tonight?
Scott, Russ, great to be with both of you all as well. Great to see you. Excited for the tournament, which starts later this week. And 1 year from now, I am hopeful that we'll be getting ready to play in that tournament.
You know, I want to give you a lot of credit, Coach, because I saw a tweet from John Gallagher, the head coach of the Hartford Hawks, who are going to the NCAA tournament for the first time in program history, and he said that you had sent him that inspirational video the morning of their championship game in the America East. And to me, it says a lot about the type of relationship and friendship that you have with Coach Gallagher.
Yeah, well, when I sent it, I didn't think it was going to be out on the world on Twitter for the world to see. But no, John's a dear friend, and you wake up the morning of a big game, and obviously the no bigger game in his head coaching career than that one on Saturday. Just kind of have a feeling, you kind of, as a head coach, you understand what your friend is going through, the nerves and the feeling going into that game. And I just wanted to try to calm them down and let them know that they'd worked so hard and they're ready for this opportunity. And I'm getting a lot of grief from some friends about my a cappella abilities, but you know what, the Hawks won and I'm happy. And he's in the bracket and he's in the tournament, and he deserves it. He works hard, and he's an outstanding coach.
Yeah, and Mike, you've got friends throughout the tournament, I'm sure, but one friend in particular is at Loyola Chicago. They're matched up with Georgia Tech, and the other one, of course, Colgate. I think they drew Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but so you've got people throughout the tournament that you're close to, and I'm sure rooting for. But you're looking for Brown to go next year, so are we.
I don't want to root for anyone except us next year, Russ.
That's it.
Plan. Yeah, Colgate's got Arkansas, who their associate head coach David Patrick is in a group of friends that we communicate with often too. So that'll be an interesting one. A lot of enticing matchups, and clearly going to be watching the Hartford Baylor game and the Loyola Chicago Georgia Tech game with a keen eye.
I wonder how this year's tournament will play out from this standpoint. As we know, all games will be in Indianapolis. I think they're going to have limited fans. Is that right, in attendance?
Yeah.
Right. You just wonder, normally upsets, particularly on the first weekend of the tournament, are the order of the day. And, everybody loves to see Cinderella pull off the big upset. You wonder if there will be as many this year, only because, when you have that close game going down the stretch between a high seed and a low seed, will there be that energy in the building that causes the high seed to say, uh-oh, this could be a problem here? You know what I mean? I'm just wondering if you're going to have that same type of feeling that you would normally get if you had packed stadiums and arenas.
Scott, I think that's a great point. And I know that there's different capacity limits depending on the place you're at. Like I think Assembly Hall in Bloomington, they're only letting 500 fans in. And, at some other places like Lucas Oil Stadium and maybe Bankers Life Fieldhouse where the Pacers play, I think that number is a little bit greater. So it's a great question. It's the first time, to my knowledge, the tournament has ever had, this type of fan limitations. So we shall see, because you and I, we all three of us know and have been in the buildings for NCAA tournament games, when the underdog is winning late, everyone except that favorites, the section of the favorite team is cheering for the underdog. So that'll be an interesting thing to watch.
And Mike, we talked last week a little bit about the transfer portal, and you explained how you get a ding on your phone every 6 seconds or so. It's probably dinging even more than that now. But the other thing that's interesting is the coaching carousel is just crazy right now. There were DePaul, Minnesota, and Indiana all opened up yesterday. BC 3 or 4 weeks ago. It just goes on and on and on. And I guess that's going to continue for a little bit as athletic directors make their moves.
Well, they say it's silly season in college basketball. It's transfer portal is guys are hopping in there every day by the dozens, and then obviously there's coaching changes that are being made, and it's unfortunate because every time there's an opening, someone just lost his job, and we all understand it. That's part of our profession, that your coaches are hired to be fired, right? And that certainly has happened, and I wish all the guys who have lost their opportunities the best, and some are good friends, and obviously I'm excited for the people who get the new opportunities because of those openings. So it's part of the profession, and certainly makes for some interesting social media buzz.
Yeah, I know we live in a what have you done for me lately society, so to speak, instant gratification. And I understand, Coach, you and your fellow, coaches understand that it is part of the business that you're in. But sometimes I feel bad for coaches when they get dismissed, what I consider to be many times prematurely. And I'll use Coach Gallagher as a great example. Hartford stuck with him. He was building something, and it's paying off right now, right? And if you make that move early and you say, well, after 2, 3, 4 years, I'm not sure if it's going to work out, then you don't realize the success you're having today.
There's no question. How about Coach K? I mean, his first few years at Duke, I think a lot of people say if that happened now, maybe he wouldn't have been given the rope that he was given. And
Sure.
I think we all think that worked out really well for Duke and Coach K. He's probably, arguably the best coach in the history of our sport. So, listen, there's different reasons for these decisions. I think, it's just certainly have to take some responsibility and some ownership. But as we talk about all the time here at Brown, we're going to be Ivy League champions. It's going to be, when that happens, it's going to be the result of a whole lot of people, the support we get from our administration, our donors, our fans, the community. It really takes everyone to be aligned for a program to be successful. And, I think sometimes that might get lost.
And Scott and Mike, I probably should have started off right off the bat with the show, but wishing both of you a very happy St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patrick's Day to both of you. And also Friday is St. Joseph's Day. And to a lot of us, that is at least as important as St. Patrick's Day. So shout out to Kira Martin, who I think is going to be 10 on Friday, Mike. Is that correct? Happy birthday to Kira.
Russ, you're so good. You're so good. She will be 10. It's amazing.
Amazing.
Time has flown, but thank you, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. And it's an exciting week ahead.
And Mike, how about your daughters? Are they still learning remotely, or are they back in the classroom? How's it going for them?
Yeah, we've been really fortunate, and we're grateful. In Barrington, we've been in our daughters have been in school 5 days a week since September, and there's been a couple of delayed breaks and pauses around like the holiday, the Christmas time, but they've been doing really, really well. We're grateful to all the planning and the preparation that the town and the district has put into it, and the girls are doing great. Thanks for asking, and they're excited for some warmer weather. We've got some spring soccer coming up that they're looking forward to, and maybe some summer basketball camp right around the corner.
And Mike, any recruiting update that you can share with us at this point in time, or anything happen?
Not at this point, Russ, that we can publicly talk about. We're in conversations with some different folks, and just obviously younger high school prospects, some couple specific transfer prospects that we've had some conversations with. We'll see how it goes. We're thrilled about the 5 young men that have applied and been accepted early decision to Brown. That's Sam Flores from Northfield Mount Herman. That's Keno Lilly from the Landon School down in DC. That's Aaron Cooley from Beaver Country Day just outside of Boston. That's Nana Owusu-Anane from Putnam Science Academy in Connecticut. And then Lindell Arold from St. Sebastian's in Needham, Massachusetts. It's a terrific class. All 5 guys bring unique skill sets, and they all have a chance to make long-lasting impacts, I believe, on our program. And just, you know, as you both know, you know, we've been very fortunate to be able to, you know, recruit not only talented players, but really high character young men. And these guys are no different.
Absolutely. All right, Coach, we'll take a timeout. When we come back, we'll talk about one of those great young men that you recently recruited into the program. Freshman Prince Moses will join us when we continue with the Mike Martin Show right after this.
Elite Physical Therapy was founded on relationships and wanting to do the very best and elite by others. Having our partnerships with institutions like the University of Rhode Island, Providence College, and Brown University have made us proud to continue to serve the communities like they do.
I can say that I'm incredibly proud of our team and our community.
Treating them, we know these people on a personal level.
Here at Elite, we really focus on the person and what's important to the person.
We love Rhode Island. We're living here. We're raising our families here.
You put care into everything you do. United Healthcare does too. Like connecting you to care whenever you need it. Because like you, United Healthcare knows what care can do.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we're not going to leave anything on our plates because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there, and they never tasted this good.
Welcome back to the Mike Martin Show on AM 790 WPRV and on Facebook Live. I'm your host, Scott Credici. This portion of the show brought to you by the Brown University Sports Foundation. Through your donations and the work of our volunteers, the Brown Sports Foundation is committed to providing funding and support to Brown athletics that enhance the student-athlete experience. Thank you for your generosity and service to Brown athletics. Right now, it's our player spotlight, and joining us this week, he's one of the new members of this Brown men's basketball program, a 6'7" forward from Slidell, Louisiana. Prince Moses is with us. Prince, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Well, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Brown University. I know it must have been tough for you that first semester. You had to kind of stay home because of the pandemic. I know you were able to take one class remotely, but is it nice to finally be on campus?
I actually am staying remote for this semester.
Oh, you are? So
Yeah.
you're still home in Louisiana?
Yes, I am right now.
Okay. So will you be coming to campus next semester?
I will. That's the plan.
Okay. And you looking forward to that?
Oh, most definitely. You know, I haven't been actually on campus for a semester, and I have taken visits and trips, and it looks amazing, and I'm really looking forward to it.
So Prince, you're home in Slidell, Louisiana. What are you doing to stay in shape and to stay sharp?
Well, you know, thankfully with everything that's going on, the gym that I normally go to at home is still open and it's still allowing people to get there. And, you know, it has full basketball courts, it has a full weight room. And so, you know, in order to stay on top of my game, I'm lucky and blessed to be in a situation where I have full access to all the tools that I need.
Prince, I know, you know, for those who know Brown basketball, many of us followed you at Northfield Mount Herman, where you set the season record with 317 rebounds. But just talk to us a little bit about the type of player that you are. We want to know, you know, when Brown basketball fans see Prince Moses, what can they expect?
They can expect a whole lot of energy, honestly. Outside of all the attributes, I feel like energy is a driving force behind everything that I do and everything, you know, that every player should do. It's doing everything with a certain level of intensity and a certain level of passion, regardless if it's on the offensive side, regardless if it's on the defensive side, transition, or whatever the case may be. And so the driving point that I want to have is that I'm a high energy player, and that's what I want people to see every time I step on the floor.
All right, so Prince, there's much pride at Brown in their defensive toughness. So specifically, what are your defensive strengths, and are you ready to get to work when you get up to Providence?
I'm sorry, but you were kind of cutting out there. Could you repeat the question?
Sure. I started by saying there's much pride by the Brown Bears in their defensive abilities and their defensive toughness. Can you talk about your defensive strengths, and are you ready to get to work when you get up to Brown?
Oh, I'm most definitely ready to get to work when I get up there. Something I'm really looking forward to. And as far as the defense, yes, we do pride ourselves on our defense, and I feel like I have great shot blocking abilities, and I feel like I can really bring that to the team and help on the defensive side. And I pride myself on my low post defense as well, and I feel like I can be a great help to the team in that aspect as well.
Prince, can you take us through your recruiting process? I'm curious, what schools were looking at you, what schools were you considering, and what made Brown University the right choice for Prince Moses?
Well, so the recruiting process started when I was at Northfield Mount Herman. And I was being approached by many teams within the Ivy League. There were a few teams outside of the Ivy League, but the majority of it was coming from within the Ivy League. What set Brown apart, first off on the academic side, I feel like it's a great place not only for athletics but also for academics as well. I think it's a great place to set myself up for things outside of the court, things off the court. And the open curriculum was one of the major points that attracted me to Brown. And from an academic side, I thought it was really great to have so much freedom from the student side to choose your courses. But as far as athletics, I really was invested in the player development side of things, and I chose Brown because I knew and I have a great feeling that I'm going to be able to develop all of my skills and become the best version of myself on the court.
And Prince, when I look at your biographical sketch, it indicates that you have an interest in the performing arts. Can you tell us about?
I do. My interest in the performance. Well, I like movies. Growing up, I always did, and something about putting on a performance, is something that I really like. Now I don't know exactly right now where I would go as far as either acting or directing or maybe more on the music side of things, but definitely, being someone who puts on a show and puts on a performance, and that's very much tied into performing arts, and that's something that I enjoy.
And Prince, just to follow up on that, just for 1 second, is this Scott Cardisci, the play-by-play voice of Brown basketball, who's on broadcast right now, has an interest in the performing arts in terms of when he does his broadcast, he will sometimes critique opposing players on their acting ability in the middle of the game. Just to let you know that, not the Brown players, but sometimes the opposing players, will flop or whatever, and Scott's not afraid to call them out on it. Is that right, Scott?
Yes. In fact, I don't know if we've retired it yet, but we have the Greg Mangano Award, right?
Yeah.
That we hand out regularly. Who was a great player at Yale, by the way.
Yeah.
Coach Martin, I know you're involved in recruiting all of the great young men that you bring into this program, but was there one particular assistant that started the recruiting process with Prince?
We try to, we really try to, once we know we've zeroed in on a prospect and we think he's a great fit, like we knew Prince was right away, we want them to be exposed to as many guys on the staff as possible. I feel like Coach TJ and Coach Antone were heavily involved. And obviously I made frequent trips up there and was communicating with Prince, regularly. I think our whole staff did a great job, all of our assistant coaches in communicating with Prince. And he's interested in performing arts. He puts on some big time performances on the court too. And we can't wait for our fans and the whole community at Brown to see those performances.
Can you describe his game for us or compare him to a player of the past within our program?
Yeah, I don't know about a comparison. I can tell you he's big, he's strong, he's athletic, he's powerful, but he's got a really good skill set. He can step out and shoot it. He can really drive the ball. His desire to want to develop all of his skills, it was music to our ears in the recruiting process. Like he's going to have to work really, really hard, but I think the sky's the limit for him. He can be a great physical presence around the basket right away for us. you know, obviously it's going to take some time getting to learn, you know, a new way of doing things, a new way of playing, but he's not going to take a backseat to anyone we play, you know, from an athletic and physical standpoint. And he's got a great skill set offensively to go with that physical presence and that physical ability.
And Prince, you mentioned earlier the open curriculum at Brown. How has your adjustment gone so far academically? But you've been at Brown now 6-7 weeks, is that correct?
Yeah,
Or not at Brown, you've been in class, yeah.
Yeah. The transition I feel was fairly smooth. There's obviously always a transition to a higher workload, but that it's very manageable, and it's also it's not stressful. Brown does a great job of professors being available to talk, whether it's office hours or whether it's communicating through emails, and the work isn't overwhelming, but it's also, you know, not something that you just, you know, phone in or just don't have to work for. But as far as the transition, you know, I think it was smooth, and I really like the classes that I have.
Prince, what's your communication been like with your coaches and your teammates since you joined the program?
The communication has been high. We've had very, very many frequent Zooms, and we all have different group chats, and we text frequently, and we're always, you know, communicating and seeing how everybody's doing and keeping in touch with each other, because some other players aren't on campus as well.
And how does next year's version of the Brown Bears look to you? I mean, I know you're remote back in Louisiana. You're going to join one of your teammates. I think Zach Taylor was a teammate, and you maybe have some idea about the others. What do you think about your team for next year?
We're ready to win. I think we're ready to do something amazing.
Mike, how has it gone, you know, up here? I understand the university just lifted more restrictions. I don't think it affected winter or fall sports, right? I think it was more about the spring sports being able to go almost full go in practice to this point in time.
Yeah, exactly right, Scott. For spring sports, to try to help prepare them for whatever limited competition they might have this spring. I think that was the adjustment there.
Yeah. And how's it been going with your guys in terms of the guys that are here on the floor and the individual workouts and the group workouts?
Yeah, it's going well. It's going well. We're continuing to progress and continuing to add more things, and you know, work on you know, different fundamentals, offensively, defensively, different concepts, offensively and defensively from a team standpoint. You know, super excited to get Prince here for the summer term, and confident that we'll be able to get some great work in this summer with him and the other first-year freshmen and sophomores that'll be on campus. And then can't wait till September when we have the entire team for next year with us, and we can start really preparing as a unit for you know, what we think can be a really good season.
And for players,
when does that summer term? Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I'm sorry. And for players like Prince that are still remote, do they have their own programs given to them by our strength staff or given to them by you, the coaching staff, in terms of, hey, here's what you can do to stay in shape and be ready for when you do return to campus?
Of course, and every player has their own, you know, their own ways of developing and improving, and we're confident that, you know, Prince is obviously working really hard to prepare himself, just like he has his entire life, to get him to this point. So you know, the communication has been good and has been frequent, and you know, when he gets here, I'm confident he'll be very prepared to make an impact.
And Prince, you must be looking forward to the, I'm going to call it the so-called summer term, and getting up to Providence and getting with some teammates and getting started live on court at the Pizzatola Center.
Yeah, I'm very much excited and very much looking forward to it. Yeah, like I've said, I'm remote here and I haven't been there for a full semester. And, you know, just looking forward to you know, that atmosphere, you know, that comes with being a part of a team, and, you know, that comes with people coming together, you know, as a brotherhood working towards a goal. And I'm very excited, and it's a few months away. And so, yeah.
Prince, I've been lucky enough to visit New Orleans a couple of times, actually a few times, 2 Super Bowls and 1 NCAA tournament. I was down at the Superdome. Tell me where Slidell is in Louisiana.
Oh, you were kind of cutting out there, but I heard that you said that you went to the Superdome.
Yeah, I've been to New Orleans a few times. Tell me where Slidell is in the state of Louisiana.
Right. So you are actually pretty close to home. So Slidell is the first city that there's a bridge called the Twin Span, and it literally connects New Orleans east to Slidell. Like there's nothing else in between that except for Lake Pontchartrain. So I can get on the Twin Span right now, and it would take me almost directly straight to the Superdome. You know, just one exit away. So it's about a 30-minute drive on the highway, but it is literally connected to New Orleans by that bridge.
So next year we'll be talking about hopefully the Brown Bears in the NCAA tournament. But for this year, who are you pulling for? LSU? Are they the team of choice?
I definitely do support LSU. I actually know a lot of LSU players. I'm not keeping up as much with what's going on now, and I don't know if I should support a team that's going to be we're going to be in competition with. But all I can say is next year we're going to be in it.
Well, we're looking forward to getting you on campus and having you on the floor next winter as part of this Brown men's basketball program. Prince, thanks so much for joining us on Coach's Show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, that is Prince
Moses,
Prince. Bears freshman forward, our guest here on the Mike Martin Show. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will be joined by Brandon Anderson and Cedric Quacamensa in our Alumni Spotlight segment. Back with more of the Mike Martin Show right after this.
The Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, the highly recognized mark of distinction in college athletics across all divisions, both men's and women's sports. Follow your favorite team's pursuit for excellence in this prestigious annual award through the directorscup.com, USA Today, or L Directors Cup on Twitter. Learfield IMG College Directors Cup, the crowning achievement in college athletics since 1993.
Hey everyone, this is Dr. Danielle. I'm here to present to you the Performance Fit series brought to you by Performance Physical Therapy. This is for anyone, if you're an athlete, you're exercising from home, or you're just returning to the gym. Even Bruno the Bear can do these types of exercises. We've got strength and conditioning, some flexibility and mobility, as well as speed and agility. So you can find all of these videos at brownrec.com or performanceptri.com. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to the Mike Martin Show on AM 790 WPRV and on Facebook Live. I'm Scott Credisci. This portion of the program brought to you by the Hilton Garden Inn Providence, the only waterfront hotel in the city that features newly renovated rooms, public space, and a bar and lounge area with outdoor seating and spectacular views of the harbor. Located at 220 India Street in Providence. Make your reservation today. Well, right now, time for our Brown Basketball Alumni Spotlight. And joining us this week from the class of 20, Brandon Anderson is with us. BA, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Well, it's great to see you. And also with us from the class of 16, big guy and former Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year, Cedric Quacamensa. Cedric, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. And yourself, Scott?
I'm doing great. Well, thank you both for joining us. It's great to see you both. And BA, we'll start with you. Your first year out of Brown, and you're playing professionally over in England. How's it going?
It's going well. I mean, it was definitely a tough adjustment at first. Like, I'm used to being with my team. I got Brown 4 years with the guys. Here, you just kind of meet everyone on the fly. I didn't get out here because of the virus until January. So I joined mid-season, and I just had to adjust really fast. But, I mean, that wasn't too hard for me because, you know, at Brown, like the way we play and stuff, you got to be able to adjust on the fly. So it was kind of natural for me to just like be able to adjust quickly with the dudes. And it's been a fun process so far.
Yeah, you're coming off a game where you had 22 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, and a win over Sheffield earlier this month. And you're leading the team in scoring. So it seems like the adjustment process, as you said, hasn't been that difficult for you.
Yeah, I mean, just like being an American on the team, I feel like you just got to be super aggressive. So that's kind of what helped me, like just being aggressive, and then trying to like make connections with the guys off the court as much as we can. It's pretty tough because of the virus. We can't really move around too much. The country's on lockdown too. So there's a lot of rules and like regulations about that, but just trying your best to connect with guys outside of basketball too makes everything better on the court. So.
And Cedric, since you graduated 2016, you played in Austria and Denmark and Greece, and now you're in Boulogne-sur-Mer in France. What has your schedule been like this year with COVID in terms of travel, practice, game schedule, that type of thing?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy this year. When I first arrived here, the day after I got here, 10 guys on the team tested positive for COVID.
10 guys?
Yeah. So I got here and I was the only person able to work out on the team. And then once everyone came back, the teams we were supposed to be playing in preseason, they all had COVID. So we had one preseason game going into the season. And then it's just been on and off since. We'll have games canceled or rescheduled due to COVID. Recently, our coach, one of our assistant coaches and a player on the team, they tested weekly positive, or it was like a week positive, and we've had to quarantine for the last like 10 days. So it's just crazy. The biggest thing about this season is we just all have to adapt, and that's what we've been doing all season. Our team, the league, literally everyone.
Coach Martin, how good were these two guys for your program here at Brown? I mean, Cedric, of course, two-time Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year. Brandon, as a sophomore, averaged 17.3 per game. He was a magician getting to the free throw line. And even as a senior, same thing, averaged just under 18 points per game and shot 82% from the stripe for you.
Well, it's great to see both these guys, and I'm starting to feel old because I coached them each for 4 years, and they didn't play together. So that tells you I've been here a little while. But we're following these guys in their pro careers. Obviously, Cedric, in his 5th year now, and Brandon in his rookie season. But one of the great things about technology is, I can pull up their clips. I can watch them on Synergy, and there's some live streams, especially in the UK that we've been able to tune into. But these are two of the best that have certainly played for us in my time here at Brown, and have meant so much to where we think our program is at right now. And we, obviously feel as though we have so much left to attain, but we've made significant progress. Cedric, from day one, he was on our first team at Brown and helped set the culture and get the momentum going early. And then obviously Brandon, captain and 4-year starter, and for the two most winning seasons in Brown basketball history, his junior and senior years. So just thrilled to have him with us, and appreciative of all these guys have done for our program.
And Brandon, so you close out your career at Brown with 1,405 points, 5th all-time scorer in Brown history. But even more interesting to me is that final weekend on the road. You beat Harvard, and you beat Dartmouth. You close it out with two wins on the road. But in the final game up at Dartmouth, you have career highs in your final college basketball game, career highs in steals and threes versus the Big Green. 5 steals and 5 threes. Tell us about your memories.
I didn't even know those were, I broke some of my career highs, but yeah, that was a fun time. I mean, like beating Harvard twice, and then that weekend, Harvard, Dartmouth, to try and get ourselves a spot in the tournament. But like, that was just a lot of fun. I've been very appreciative of my time at Brown, and like my senior year especially. I just felt like we all came together, and like everybody wanted to win. That was the biggest thing for us, and I could just feel it. Like, you didn't have to ask anyone what they needed to do or anything. Like, there was no questions about anything. We just wanted to win. And I hope that culture like carries over into the coming years. Unfortunately, this year was canceled, but like, I feel like the culture that we were establishing is exactly the direction the program wants to be. And I think, the guys will bring that, and I'm excited to watch from afar, but I'm appreciative of my time.
Cedric, you are such an amazing rim protector here at Brown. In fact, you're still the Ivy League's all-time leader in block shots. One of the moments that I remember well was your game as a sophomore at Cornell. I want to say it was 30 points, like 14, 15 rebounds and 7 blocks against the Big Red. But, talk a little bit about, that part of the game, the defensive part of the game, which you thrived at. And also, I know you took a lot of pride in your 4 years on how much you improved offensively. You extended your range to the point when you were a senior, you could take and make 3-point field goals. Just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, growing up, defense was just something that was embedded in me at a young age. It was just play defense and take it personal. Don't accept getting scored on. And obviously, there's great offensive players and you're going to get scored on. It's just a part of the game. But I just took it real personal. And I just knew it was something that I had to bring to the table to help us win games, help us win as many games as we could. And then throughout my 4 years, just working with the assistant coaches, like it was all about extending my range, extending my offensive game. Because when I got, I laughed because when I got to Brown, it was either layup or nothing. And then looking back on it, my senior year, I'm picking and popping. I'm hitting turnaround jump shots and jump hooks and all this other stuff. And if you would have told me my freshman year I was gonna do those things by my senior year, I would have definitely laughed and not believed it at all. But it definitely came down to just like time in the summer and working out with the coaches in the preseason and after the season. That player development definitely came in handy for me.
And Cedric, you obviously had so many personal highlights in single games and so forth. You had 7 blocks in games multiple times. I think 6 times, to tell you the truth. But down at Penn, you had 7 blocks against them. And I think you had 6 at the half, which caused my broadcast partner, Scott Credisci, at one point during his call of the action to say, Cedric, he's having his own block party here this evening. And that was a special night. But what sticks out to me is another game when you hit the game winner against Cornell at home in your junior year, an off-balance shot in traffic in the lane to win the game for Brown. Was that a highlight or not?
That was pure luck because that was not the play whatsoever. The play was, I remember that. The play was to get tape on the ball, but his man denied him and cut him off. So I was just like, all right, what am I going to do here? And I drove and I said, all right, there's 2 seconds left. And I threw it up and prayed for the best. And hey, we're here talking about it today.
Brandon, a couple of highlights I remember from your last season here as a senior. I vividly remember, as Russ pointed out, you had 24 in your last game in the win at Dartmouth when we swept Harvard and Dartmouth in the final weekend. But that 31-point game at Penn, I think you had 31 points, 9 rebounds in that win over the Quakers. That to me, I mean, you were just on and you were willing us to victory in that game.
It's funny too, when I finished with 9 rebounds, and I remember at the end of the game, Coach Martin subbed me out, and I was in the free throw lane, like ready to grab the last rebound, and I subbed out, and I can't remember who subbed in for me, but whoever it was grabbed that rebound. I was like, dang, that would have been my 10th rebound. But no, that was a fun game too. Yeah, again, it was just pretty much doing whatever to win. Grabbing rebounds, that's not even one of my specialties, so I was just playing my hardest. And yeah, it's always tough to play in the Palestra, but I feel like, I don't know my record there, but I feel like I have a pretty good record from what I remember in the Palestra. So fun place to play though, for sure.
Yeah, so Brandon, also some pretty impressive team accomplishments. Obviously, when you were junior, set the school record for wins with 20. You go to the CBI and you get the first postseason win in Brown basketball history. And then, frankly, in your senior year, you would have been in the CBI, but for COVID. Talk about those team accomplishments.
Yeah, I think it just says a lot to how hard we work as a program. We go super hard. Like whenever we don't get the time in the summer, when we get together, it's always business, and we go hard. I think that's just like a testament to how hard we work. All the accomplishments. There's so many more accomplishments to come. So again, like I said, I'm excited to watch from afar. But those accomplishments mean a lot. And yeah.
Mike, a question about both of these guys. Brandon, to me, at times was almost unguardable because of his, what I call cat-like quickness. I mean, he could just juke somebody and go by him in the blink of an eye. Talk about that. And then for Cedric, we talked about what a great rim protector he was. And we have another one now in Jalen Gainey. And my question is, what makes these guys great rim protectors? It's more than just size. It's they have a knack to know when to leave their feet and how to block shots, if I'm saying that right. Just talk a little bit about both of those things.
Yeah, well, I'll start with Cedric first. So he's the best shot blocker in Ivy League history, but he may not be the best in Brown basketball history. I'm joking, obviously. Cedric, that record, I don't think will. I mean, it's gonna take a whole lot to even threaten that record. It was amazing the way he protected the rim for us, and just, recruiting is so important. Cedric's defensive ability it allowed us it covered so many mistakes, from a defensive standpoint. A guy gets by someone on the perimeter into the paint. You knew you had Cedric back there. Our guards could be that much more aggressive, taking chances on the perimeter because they knew they had Cedric back there anchoring our defense. And we had the best defense in the Ivy League his freshman year. And no coincidence, he was Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year. And, he was, when you take over a program, and obviously we had great leadership from Sean McGonigal, Matt Sullivan, Tyler Pronicelli, Stephen Albrecht, Rafael Maya on that team, and on and on and on. But we wanted to set the tone to be a great defensive team, and we worked really hard. But all our hard work wouldn't have been as good if we didn't have Cedric, right? And he really solidified our ability to be a very good defensive team right away. And then, obviously Brandon, he makes a coach, when you run a bad play and the play doesn't work, he could just go make something happen. He had that ability as a playmaker and as a penetrator. He became a really good and deep 3-point shooter. Deep range, could get it off. It was really hard to guard him in different actions because he had the speed to get in the paint. If you chased him over a screen, if you went under a screen, he could sit behind it and shoot it. So, so recruiting is so important because those guys allow your team to have the success even when, quite frankly, a play doesn't work. But most importantly is the type of character both these guys are. They're both raised so well by their families, and they were such easy guys to coach. Like, we demand an awful lot out of our players. We expect that they're going to, give everything they have for the good of our program and sacrifice some personal things. And both these guys did it, and they did it with a smile. And we've had so many great players here at Brown. In my time, these two guys are special for sure because of not just their talent, but the type of young men they are.
And Cedric, you mentioned earlier your development of your offensive skills from St. Andrews to your senior year at Brown. You're hitting 3 points at will. But on the other end of the floor, what were the keys to your physical transformation from St. Andrews, which takes you as a senior there to, I believe you were the Ivy League Freshman of the Year the following year? Keys to your physical transformation.
Well, I think his internet just dropped out on us. So I think we're going to switch over to Brandon. How's that? BA, I have a question to you about playing professionally. Can you tell me what it's like, the level of play, the caliber of play on your team against your opponents? Compare it, for instance, to the Ivy League or maybe high Division I college basketball, like the power conferences here in America, or professional basketball. How would you describe the level of play that you're playing in right now?
I would say the biggest difference is like the physicality, because like in the league, sometimes you'll have older guys who aren't as fast or as quick as me, but they've been playing pro for 10 years and they're super physical and they know how, they know how to get to their spots, or they know how to play full court defense, even though they're not as fast or as quick as me, things like that. So I would say the biggest difference is the physicality. But I definitely take things like that I learned at Brown, and they helped me out so much playing pro. Like simple things like when I feed the post, the way that I cut, I get like 4 points a game off of just like backdoor cuts for layups that, dudes aren't used to seeing that in the Ivy League or in college, like teams work on a lot. So I take little things like that, try and sprinkle it into my game when I play out here. It's less organized in the sense that, like I told you, I got out here in January, and Brown will drill our plays and, go over small actions within our plays so that every action within the play is super crisp. And it's a little bit harder to do that in a situation like this when a bunch of guys are coming together. But yeah, I would definitely say the biggest thing is the physicality. I feel like when I go home this summer, the weight room is going to be my biggest area of improvement. So.
Yeah, and Mike, obviously you have a pretty good eye for talent, having identified both these guys, Cedric and Brandon. So let me just go back to that question I asked Cedric when he refused to answer and left the screen on us a few minutes ago. But
Russ, they turn off the internet at a certain time in France.
That probably is right, Scott. But Mike, what were the keys to Cedric's transformation? And I saw him play up at, let's see, Wilbraham Munson, when he was a senior. And that the next year, a year later, he's the Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he just worked. He worked, and he was really well coached by Mike Hart and his staff at St. Andrews. But nothing's there's no substitute for hard work. Is that the saying? And he put the time in. Obviously, we had a lot of energy right away, and our staff, we were eager to get on the court and to work with all of our players. But Cedric committed to his physical fitness, his strength and conditioning, his individual offensive and defensive, fundamentals and skill improvement. And I think it was a combination of him being prepared because he was so well coached at St. Andrews and in his AAU program, but then also the hard work he put in. And, like one thing we'll say, if guys want to work, our staff will be here for you, right? Brandon, he was in the gym every day with Coach Tone, and it was like clockwork. Like if you want to come in and work, these guys are gonna, our staff, we're gonna help you try to become your best. And we always say 4 years is a long time. You should be a much better player by the time you're a senior than you were when we recruited you. And I've watched Brandon play in his games over in England, and I mean there's high level talent in that league. I mean Brandon's being very humble and modest, and he's having great success. But like guys on his team have been great players at Louisville and University of Washington, and I mean all pretty much Power 5 schools, right, Brandon? And like these are older, experienced pros, and for him to be doing what he's doing as a rookie, it's really a testament to him and his development here, and how hard he's worked to prepare himself for this opportunity.
Brandon, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you how your parents are doing. They are and were your biggest fans when you were here at Brown. It was such a pleasure to see them at, I think, every game. I don't know if your dad missed a game, for crying out loud, but how are they doing? And like Coach Martin said, did they get a chance to watch you on the internet? Is that what they're doing right now?
Yeah, they're doing well. I speak to them all the time. We FaceTime almost every day. We talk in our family group chat a lot, so we're still super connected. But they definitely watch every single game. I get feedback from my dad after every game on what I did well and how I can improve. But they're doing well. They're home. They both actually got vaccinated, so
good for
they're
them.
vaccinated now. I don't know how they figured that out, but hopefully I can get that when I get home. But they're doing well. I know they're going to be glad that you asked about them.
Yeah, and Brandon, one other question is, what's next for you? Do you stay with the Worcester Wolves? Have you inked the contract with them for next year, whatever that means, or what's your future hold?
I'm honestly not sure. It could be back here in Worcester. It could be to another team. It could be to another country. I'm not really sure exactly what the next steps would be, but I know right now I'm just trying to finish out the season strong. I'm about halfway in. We have, I believe, 12 more games guaranteed. So I'm trying to stay locked in for these 12 games, and just create the best opportunity for myself next, wherever that may be.
Russ, I think Cedric's back with us. So why don't you ask that question of Cedric that you were asking him before he dropped off?
All right, Cedric, you may have heard some of it before you got cut out, but you went from a senior at St. Andrews to the Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year in the course of 12 months. What were the keys to that?
I think I'd have to attribute a lot of that to Coach Mike Hart from St. Andrews, because even leading up to my commitment to Brown, he was just telling me that I'd be a fool not to go to an Ivy League school, and a fool not to go to an Ivy League school so close to home, right? But then, when the season ended for us, his biggest thing was just me finding how I could get immediate playing time and immediately affect the team. And he said, Cedric, I'm not going to lie to you. You're a defensive player. Like, if I was a coach, and I laugh because he's just so brutally honest. He's just like, if I was a coach, I'm not taking you to score points. I'm taking you to play defense and get rebounds and just play hard and win basketball games. And he made it an effort to like embed that in my mind and just have me play hard all the time. But then even my freshman year, the preseason, we had 7 guys on the team, and we were just, it was literally nose to the wall every single day, preseason, every practice. There wasn't an off day, there wasn't a light practice, there wasn't anything. And I think that just competing every single day, just kind of, it was just an easy transition in terms of trying to play the best defense I can in practice every single day, preseason, trying to like get as many minutes as I can. And then it was just transferring over to the games, and it made it a lot easier with, like Coach Martin was saying, guys being aggressive on the perimeter, and then knowing that I'm back there, it was almost like they were giving me presents, because guys are coming to the rim trying to score over me, and I'm like, oh yeah, here we go, another one. And that's kind of how I look at it.
Cedric, last thing for you, and we really appreciate both of you joining us on Coach's Show tonight. When you were here, you had a very good relationship with President Paxson. And you know what a big fan, you both know what a big fan she is of the men's basketball program at Brown and athletics in general. She really wants athletics to do well. But can you talk about your relationship with President Paxson? Because I know she was a big fan of yours and you were a big fan of hers.
Yeah, I was very lucky to build a relationship with President Paxson. I went to a few. She had during I think it was alumni weekend, she had an event at her house, and I was fortunate enough to go to that with I was fortunate enough to go to that. And then there was times where I would go to her office, and me and her had personal conversations, and it was just great to build a relationship with the president of your university, because everyone sees her as like all high and mighty, and I'm just like, oh, like I was just in her office, like talking to her like 20 minutes ago. And it was just great for me personally. It was just like, it was such an honor, and something that I still talk about till this day, because a lot of people don't really, a lot of people that went to Brown don't have the opportunity to actually have a one-on-one conversation with her. And I was blessed enough to be able to not only have a one-on-one conversation with her, but build somewhat of a connection, you know.
Cedric Quacamensa, class of 16, Brandon Anderson, class of 22, great Brown basketball players, two even better young men. Thank you for joining us on Coach's Show tonight.
Thank you for having us.
For having me.
Thanks, guys.
Right. Folks, that'll do it for the Mike Martin Show. We'll wrap things up, and we'll be back here next week, same time, same place. For the head coach of the Bears, Mike Martin, and Russ Tyler, my name is Scott Credici. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
This has been a presentation of Learfield IMG College.